Hello everyone, welcome once again to Investing with the Difference. There is so much going on in EOS space that I thought I will do a quick summary of some of the things which we have been tracking. And I think it's going to be a short and quick update. So if you want to know more about these items which we talked about, we will post links in the video. So let's get going before we waste any more time. So one important thing which happened, I think we have talked about the DAP network, which is launched by Liquid Apps, which is actually the same team which is, I think, developing Bancor and Liquid EOS and so on. And this is some really great development, as we talked about in previous video. It allows users and DAP developers to access RAM at cheaper prices, and also they have plans to do the same thing for CPU, and they are building on top of EOS. And the important thing is that they are ready to launch pretty quickly on February 26th. That will be 8 a.m. So they have mentioned this Unix time. So it's basically 8 a.m. in Pacific time. That's when they launch. And in addition to launching the platform, which will enable these DApps, they are launching the token, and you can actually register. There are two ways you can access the token. So there, it's the if you were part of the EOS ICO, it's very similar. What they're doing is every 18 hours instead of 24 hours in case of EOS, every 18 hours they are going to have a window of releasing a certain number of tokens. And based on how many EOS were submitted to that contract, the price will be determined. It's called a Dutch auction method. Go check it out. I think read about EOS, how it worked out. My expectation is there is usually a period, like initially there may be a rush of token buyers and it may cool down a bit, or maybe people will learn from what happened with EOS and wait it out. So it will be very interesting to see how the token price works out in early days when they launch, and that's not very far. It's happening next week. What else is happening? I think a big news coming out is Effect.AI, which was one of the biggest project on Neo, is moving to EOS mainnet. And this is a good team. I think they have been working on this product for quite some time, and they have given a reasoning of why they're moving to EOS mainnet. And again, I think while we see that a lot of people were moving from Ethereum, now we are seeing a pretty big app moving from Neo to EOS. So I think it's continuously confirming the power of EOS technology. I think even though we don't see so much of positive coverage on EOS from mainstream media, I think the people who are really developing projects, they realize, and it's a matter of time when more and more people understand the kind of technology EOS is providing, how scalable it is, how robust it is. And specifically, I think they have highlighted a few ideas, like Neo also provided free transaction system, but they were not able to handle the spam attacks, which is pretty good with EOS, as we have been talking about for quite some time. So it's a great news again that there are more validation for EOS as a technology from people who are actually developing. And this is actually Effect.AI. I was going through the details and they look like a pretty solid project. They are trying to build a framework for artificial intelligence apps. It's not just an app, actually, it's a full framework to enable more and more dApps to be built on top of their framework, which is going to be running on EOS mainnet. So this is amazing. I think we need more and more kind of like ecosystems enabled on EOS, not just like end user apps, because the apps are difficult to gain adoption because people are not used to directly using blockchain with these kind of platforms. I think there is much more kind of abstraction for the end user apps to really benefit from blockchain technology while still not worrying about the underlying protocols. So this is amazing. I think I'm pretty excited about it. Then I think there's a research report published by LongHash. So this is I think we all know, but it's a good data point where they're talking about. They're saying that over 50% of EOS apps are actually used every day, compared to 10% of Ethereum dApps, which are active users every day. So basically there is no active users on 90% of Ethereum dApps on a daily basis. And which is interesting, because that means if you are running a dApp and you don't see a single user showing up on your app for the whole day, this looks, and Ethereum is a pretty old technology. It's not that EOS is like some of the dApps are just in early days. They have not seen adoption, but Ethereum apps have been trying to build for quite some time. And if they have lost their users and they're not seeing anybody showing up, that is not a great sign for them. I hope people are going to figure solutions out, because in general, I think we do need more and more DAP platforms. I'm not in favor of Ethereum just not working out, because there's a lot of developers. We don't want to lose those developers. Either we move them to EOS, or we have to somehow enable them not to get frustrated with the blockchain. So while it is great news for EOS, I think I'm concerned about Ethereum and the overall ecosystem, because we have like 10 or 20 times more developers right now who are working in Ethereum and they don't even know what is EOS. Finally, I think another news which is coming out is like EOS Alliance, which is we discussed it. I think they had lost much impact. They tried to do a lot of meetings around EOS constitution and so on. I think it was not. It was very difficult to be engaged, and it became like again a few people centralized way they were trying to enable these discussions. It was a great effort. I'm not trying to underplay that, but I think it was not. It did not result into what everybody was expecting, like bringing all the communities together. But what's interesting is that now, to build more confidence and to build this as an autonomous community, what they're doing is they are actually becoming a DAO. If you remember, like DAO has a pretty much negative connotation because of the Ethereum hack which happened. But in general, I think DAO was one of the most promising concept of a decentralized world. What it means is it's a decentralized autonomous organization which is run on the chain, and it is going to be making decisions on the chain. It's not centralized. It will be pretty much public, and EOS New York and EOS DAC are leading this in resurrecting EOS Alliance, which is great. And I think it will be interesting to see how it evolves. So I'm going to watch out for this very carefully. And at this moment, I understand that more and more people like who started the EOS Alliance, like Thomas Cox and so on, they are actually retiring from EOS Alliance because that had become again not that kind of accepted organization as a which was centralized way of organizing committees and so on. And let's see if EOS Alliance can, in this rebirth, with some really credible people like EOS New York and EOS DAC, can bring this back. What else? I think D-Goods, I think there's a lot of coverage already from people in everything EOS and Cypherglass, so I'm not going to talk much about it. It is a pretty good thing on EOS. Basically, it's to the NFT standard. That is a digital asset standard. If you're in the NFT space, I'm sure you're tracking it. But what I wanted to highlight here is, again, great progress on building an open standard which can be used. And I think it will be really good things. I think what we are seeing is all the good things about various blockchains and various ideas are already being developed on EOS, and we are not even 1 year into EOS. So this is again a pretty good news. I'm very excited to see all these good partners. I think Mythical Games is a huge gaming development. I think a lot of people are excited about it, and kind of like Pixios is getting a lot of attention. And if you look at the partners, I think there's a pretty good set of technical expertise, and I'm sure D-Goods will turn out to be one of the very good standards to help grow the digital asset domain. And digital asset domain is huge, as we keep talking about it. We talked about it in Item Games, which we covered a few days back, and we are talking about it in so many other aspects, even from Pixios standard and so on. There are so many use cases for digital assets. I think this opens up a totally new market for EOS, so that's amazing. And again, I think EOS Aloha has come up with a tool to track the block producer reliability. So what does this do? So this is another continuous development in EOS world, where more and more people, like we as proxies, we keep using these tools to figure out which block producers are doing well technically. They already had previously they had a CPU tracker, if you remember, that helped a lot, because what happened with CPU tracker was a lot of block producers were able to see if they are not doing well in terms of performance. They were able to bring that their performance at par with other BPs, and that helped them because it was very visible with these tools on whether they're underperforming. And now there's another thing which they are tracking is the rounds missed. That means that if the block producer got a chance to produce, and if he misses that round and misses the blocks, this was actually a very good metric. And especially the round recovery, that means that as soon as you miss, how fast are you able to recover and produce? That is a pretty good sign. and this gives us some tools to see who's doing what. But the good thing is, if you look at any most of the, even the worst block producer have been reliable up to 99.8%, and that is something amazing. Very few, like in last 30 days only, except for let's say 7 block producers, everybody has been 100% reliable, which is huge. And even those who are not reliable, I think they have missed very few blocks. Very few rounds. Like few blocks missing, it's a technical issue. It happens. It's easy to recover, but the blockchain really relies on the node to be up and not miss their rounds. And definitely, I'm sure once they see these metrics, this is a very new tool, and once these BPs see it, as we have seen in the CPU case, I'm sure these guys will not like to be singled out as people who are missing these rounds, and they will try to recover. And as we are already seeing, the recovery is pretty fast, even though they are missing it a few times, but the recovery is pretty good. I hope that this keeps improving, because we do want to see this almost zero, like which so many other block producers are able to do, keeping their uptime pretty much 100%. And then what in the developer domain, I would like to highlight a few things which are very exciting for me personally, because I'm trying to contribute to this whole EOS ecosystem. We talked about Blockstart in last few videos. So I'm going to be judging at the Detroit Blockchain and Fintech Pitchfest. So this is a blockchain center which is being established in Detroit, and this is going to be on February 28th. And if you are developing an idea, if you are looking for funding, or if you're looking for just a validation of your idea, it's a great place to go apply. So do try to apply here if you are developing and working on EOS World. Also, if you want to sponsor, or if you want to be associated with this initiative, you can contact us. So I'm trying to help them. I will be there trying to see how we can help all these upcoming apps. The Pitchfest itself will begin in 8 days, but the application is still open for almost 2 days from now. And we have some amazing prizes up to $30,000 to be won. And I hope that people take advantage of this. Now, finally, I wanted to also discuss, I think when we are doing a lot of workshops in the Silicon Valley, and a lot of people requested, can we do remote sessions and webinars? And I'm glad to announce that we are ready to do that, and we're going to have introduction this Friday. Our goal is to do more and more content creation. Again, we were looking for serious developers in this case. We don't want to go and just post it on YouTube. What we realize is this is more like an instructor-led training, which helps. So they are going to be interactive workshops. We are trying to bring the best experts in the industry, in the EOS community, and we will try to help developers grow. And we are offering mentorship programs and so on. So if you are interested, do join us. We will share more details, and I will post the link here. But ultimately, if you want to sign up, do join us at Blockstart.one, and we will be continuously adding more and more such webinars and workshops. So I hope this was a quick update on EOS ecosystem, what we are trying to do within Investing with the Difference and Blockstart, and how EOS community is maturing, and EOS is developing so fast that it's difficult to keep track of all the projects. So I wanted to give you an update, and I hope you're looking at this progress file. I think price keeps going up and down. If you're an investor, I think you need to look at the progress and really the strength of EOS ecosystem. If you're a developer, if you are an entrepreneur who wants to go and join this revolution, we welcome you, and we really want you to come and join hands with all the other developers in the community. And this is like early days, and you have a huge potential ahead of you. So do not hesitate right now, because this is the time to build and to join this revolution. So thanks once again for joining. I hope this is useful content for you. We will keep bringing more news, but more importantly, we are now focusing a lot more on developing, building, and we are looking for more people to join us. Thank you. Bye bye.